I want to just, one other part of this is the Septuagint thing. The writers of the New Testament were not using the Septuagint. The Septuagint was using the New Testament. Because this is something we really need to clear up. The original Septuagint, meaning there was a translation of the Torah of the 5 books of Moses that was produced about the year 256 BCE, so about 250 years before the Common Era, before Christianity. There was a translation for the Alexandrian Library, and we know a lot about it. So we have a lot of talk about it, okay? We have the letter of Aristides, we have Josephus, we have the Talmud. There's a lot of discussion about this famed translation, but that famed translation is called Septuagint because it's the translation of 70, or the tradition is 72 Jews were involved in translating the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, into the Greek language. That's true, there was. It's lost. We don't have it. It's just that generally people just refer to every Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible as a Septuagint. And it's a huge mistake because it's very misleading. It's not that you're trying to mislead anyone. This is what you hear in church. But as it turns out, that original translation was only of the 5 books of Moses. It was not of the prophets, and it was not of the writings. Isaiah is not part of the Pentateuch. It's not part of the 5 books of Moses. So to say that the authors of the Christian Bible were relying on that old translation that was rendered 250 years before Christianity is completely fatuous. You don't mean bad, but it's complete nonsense. That was only the 5 books of Moses. Now, what happens subsequently is that the Hebrew Bible is being translated into the Greek language. The Greek language was like the lingua franca. English is a much more dominant language today than Greek ever was, ever. But we'll just use the English language as an example. Because of Alexander the Great, the Greek language just became the dominant language. So, of course, there was a cottage industry of people just translating the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible, into the Greek language. Here's what's confusing, and missionaries exploit this, is that every time someone translated the Tanakh into the Greek language, they called it the Septuagint. That's a nightmare. Now, ultimately, Origen, a 3rd century church father, who was only one of 2 church fathers that was completely fluent in Hebrew and Greek. There was only 2, him and Jerome. He produces a hexapla, meaning a multi-language column of rendition of all of the Bible. And that's what the Septuagint is. So what happens is the church gets involved in this. It's not just the church. Jews are involved in this. This becomes a whole industry. There are all these Greek translations out there. But the point is the church will produce a Greek translation. To this day, the Orthodox Church, the Eastern Church, refers to the Septuagint as Scripture, capital S. It's like what the Vulgate is, the Latin translation produced by Jerome in the 5th century, is to the Roman Catholic Church what the Septuagint is to the Orthodox Church. So what the church does is it then produces a corrupt Greek translation to conform with the corruptions of the Hebrew Bible found in the New Testament. So it's not that when ants gather, it causes human beings to have picnics. It's the other way around. The New Testament writers were not relying on the Septuagint. And I know that's standard fare in seminary. I know that's typically how it's not true. There's absolutely no source. The Septuagint is never mentioned in the Christian Bible. Never. But what happens is when things are repeated so frequently, people just Well, of course, the Septuagint. It's all nonsense. I won't say it. It's completely fatuous. Moreover, the Hebrew Bible is the only thing that matters. You're only interested, what does the Hebrew Bible say? Not what some translation says. I mean, a translation, a putative translation, can never be superior to the original, right? Of course not. So if we want to serve God, the Bible is our authority, and it's the law of best evidence. You're an American. The law of best evidence in the United States is that only the original document in its original language is meaningful, and translations are never superior to the original document. Israel has the same law Canada does. Every civilized country operates that way. So I know you've heard Septuagint, all that. Reject that, or you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Yes, it's true. If you go on Amazon, absolutely, and order a Septuagint, I'll just show it to you. I'll just show you an example, okay, so you get it. The Septuagint, you can go online and look it up, right? The Septuagint also includes the apocryphal writings. What? I mean, unless you're Roman Catholic, why would the Roman Catholic Church regards books as deuterocanonical books that I presume you're not Catholic, you don't believe those are holy books. How did that make it into the Septuagint? Do you understand? There are books like the Wisdom of Solomon, okay, which is not a holy book, okay? But some people came to regard it as a holy book. You don't, I presume. Well, almost certainly the Wisdom of Solomon was written originally in Greek. What are they translating? So that's, what happens is you get into trouble. I want to present the following to you. The faith of Israel, the God of Israel, can only be true based on the original text of Tanakh, not based on some translation, okay? So I just say go back to the original, not because of my authority, but because of the Hebrew Bible. It's not me, it's Scripture. Look it up for yourself. And as I said, Isaiah didn't want to use the word virgin. Why? Because he was kind of Victorian and virgin. No. The word virgin appears in Isaiah more frequently than the word Alma does. He had no problem using it. The word virgin appears all over Tanakh, all over the place. It was a very important word, okay? The word Alma, okay, it just means a young woman. In the English language, could a young woman be a virgin? Yeah. She might not be a virgin. There's nothing about young woman that conveys virginity. Virginity very specifically conveys sexual history or the absence of sexual history, okay? Please look it up for yourself. Go to the original Hebrew. Judy, thank you so much for having the courage to call in. Shalom. If you enjoyed this program, please like and subscribe.